Hi, this is Eric Beyer of Old Vine, Texas, a new winery tasting room featuring 100% Texas wines from wineries all over the state. We are located in Mansfield, Texas, inside of Ancora Event Center on Broad Street. We have weekly tastings, charcuterie board to enjoy, live music, and a new wine club. Go visit our website at oldvinetexas.com to sign up for our newsletter and learn more. Or you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Old Vine, Texas. We'll see you soon.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Are you ready to pop your cork? In the left corner at 6'4", 242 pounds, with a record of 45-0, the undisputed.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, Will.
Hey, how many bottles of wine have you had?
Well, Will, it's not the wine. I'm just so excited about the podcast.
Yeah, I am too. But this is not a boxing match. This is We Know Texas Vino. Welcome back, everybody, to We Know Texas Vino. I'm your host, and today we're at a really amazing place. And actually, it's really beautiful today. We just actually had some snow, and there's still some snow on the ground. And here in a minute, you'll be able to see the video of this. But we are coming to you from Edge of the Lake with my friend, Chris McIntosh. Hey, Chris, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing all right.
Good.
I'm still trying to learn this whole camera stuff here. It's not easy to transition from one person to the next. Oh, there we go. I finally got it fixed up. Now you're on board.
Okay. All right.
So we are here with Chris McIntosh, guys. And again, this is a beautiful location out here. Too bad you can't see the snow in the background, but you would definitely love it out here right now. It'd be a kind of, I'll say, a romantic little spot right now. All right.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a unique property for sure.
It definitely is. It definitely is. Well, before we get into the show, Chris, so I want to make a couple of quick announcements. So January the 25th at 555 Winery and Vineyard, we're kicking off season 3 of We Know Texas Vino. Are you coming out?
I will try to stop in. Yeah, it's only a mile and a half for me.
It's not far. So come out and visit with us, other Texas wine lovers. You never know who is just going to show up. As in Chris said, he might crash the party.
I might. I've been known to do that. Yeah.
Yes, you have.
Yeah.
We're also be excited to add video to our show. So, you can start finding us now on YouTube at We Know Texas Vino. And of course, you can always catch our shows on any kind of podcasting platforms, and find us on our social media platforms. Guys, I'm sorry, I have not had any wine this morning yet. So find us on Facebook at We Know Texas Vino. So, Chris, how's it going?
It's good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So tell us, what has changed for y'all here at Edge of the Lake? Because it was January the 15th of 2023 when we did our very first episode here with you.
Yeah, I knew it was close to this same date. So yeah, that's good.
It's kind of nice we did this close.
Yeah. How many episodes is it again?
This will be episode 86.
86.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Kind of crazy, ain't it?
Yeah. Doesn't always pay to be first, if I remember correctly, but
yeah, there was a lot of first that, we're like, oh, this is gonna be a great idea. Yeah, it never turned out to be. I mean, okay, so you have to say the one that we did at Piaf.
Yeah.
Would have been a lot better if there wasn't music playing in the background.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a lot of people already in there.
And there wasn't a private party in the same room.
Yes.
Yeah.
We will have to actually revisit that sometime.
No, that was a fun deal to do.
It is. We'll have to do it again. Let's plan it this year.
Okay.
We'll do it. We'll come over here and do it at your VIP lounge.
There you go. Well, speaking of the VIP lounge, you're asking what's new here at Edge of the Lake. We just did finish the remodel. I think we pretty much opened it up in October. We're sitting in our wine club lounge, which is upstairs. And so we've got about 70 more seats inside for our wine club members. And then we've got a gorgeous patio, which you can see behind me, with more seating on it. It's amazing how different the views are just 13 more feet up in the air.
Yes.
It's amazing out here. It also allows us to do rentals for some private events, rehearsal dinners, baby showers, bridal showers, things like that. And we've already been booking some of those events. And as you can see, it turned out pretty good considering this was a house. This was 2 bedrooms and a game room up here. And so we opened this up, and it's really was a project we've been talking about for a long time, but the purpose came upon us faster than we expected. We were really, really busy this past year, still growing. And during the summer months, started noticing we were fully booked for 2 to 3 weeks out, and wine club members would walk in with this look of disappointment. And, it's 100 degrees outside and I can't sit them inside. And I said, now's the time. So right about the time harvest started is when we started the remodel, which I don't suggest anybody doing ever again. It was an on-taking and, but we got it done really quickly, turned out really beautiful. And, we're super proud of this space up here. We'll be adding artwork as we grow. We want the art to be purposeful on the walls and not just something we did just to fill a space. But overall, it's a whole different vibe upstairs. If people have been to our downstairs, it's very bright and, white base tables with light wood. This is a little more dark and moody and
sophisticated.
Yeah, soft seating chairs up here for our wine club members. Right. And so we like it a lot. It's very cool.
It's actually really nice. In fact, actually, I know when you brought me up here, I was kind of like starstruck about it. I was like, oh, we're going up here to the VIP lounge. I feel VIP-ish. And walking up here, man, I have to say it's really nice. It is a different vibe from what you have downstairs.
Yes.
You did an amazing job for what little time it took to get it done. And I commend you on getting it done.
Yeah.
Now if we just have like a self-service bar of wine over there.
Yeah.
That ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, we don't have self-serve. We actually have a separate serving station up here that has a chiller for white wines, red wines. We have our own glass washer up here. Nice. Everything's separate. So we can fully function up here. We don't offer tastings up here right now. Mm-hmm. So for club members, they can enjoy a glass or a bottle up here.
Okay.
They still book downstairs for tastings. That's a staffing issue until this place is filled up, and fully staffing the upstairs is not on the table as of right now, but we planning for the future, right?
Right.
So,
you should put a dumbwaiter system right in here,
Well, everybody says that, but we have a separate set of stairs. Don't worry. My staff and myself get our steps in coming up the stairs. We don't allow customers to go down the back stairs because it leads into the kitchen area.
Right.
And also it has a really strange landing in the middle that's you can't see. So unless you've done it 100 times, you don't know it's there.
How many times you fell?
Not many years. Yeah. So,
all right. So we got us a nice little VIP lounge now up here for your members. What else has been going on out here? How's the vineyard going? Because I know when we were here 2 years ago, you was talking about choking out some Cab Franc, planting another block of vines. How's that all going?
Well, we've kind of held off on planting because we've been working on a development project out here, and it's a threefold project. We need a bigger production facility. Obviously, we're, jammed for space. We were jammed from the first year we started, and it's just gotten worse, obviously. And then putting in a wedding venue on a part of the property facing the lake. And then both of those projects have been approved by our local county. We're still fighting to get the lodging part. We want to build a bunch of cabins out here that people can rent, whether they're part of the wedding that's taking place that weekend, or they're here just to visit North Texas wine country. We're kind of trying to set ourselves to be the kind of center point for North Texas wine country because of our proximity to 35 and everything. And lodging is something that's lacking up in this area. Yeah. So still working on that project. We're not all seeing eye to eye in the county, but we're getting there. So
you don't need permits for tents.
Unfortunately, and fortunately, I mean, the beauty of this property is it's surrounded by water on 3.5 sides, but that also lands us within the planning and zoning comprehensive plan for Lake Ray Roberts, which is, come to find out, the strictest in the state.
Really?
So, there's some things that if I was trying to do this in 5 years, it would be no problem, but now it's new. Nobody's done some of the things we're trying to do at this point. And so, but we're still pushing forward to try to make those things happen.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you got a whole bunch of stuff coming up. I know when we first visited 2 years ago, you had some of these kind of envisioned out there, but they were still in the vision stages.
Yeah.
So it's kind of awesome that you have now moved forward past the vision stage. You're actually in the process stage now.
Yes. Yeah.
So this is where the fun really starts.
Oh yeah.
And the lose of sleep. And
this is where that utopia thought of being just a quirky winemaker and coming out behind the curtain has left the building. And now I'm deeply unfortunately involved in politics and the county and reading codes. And I probably know more about the comprehensive plan understanding the Cook County codes than some of the commissioners do at this point. So,
well, I mean, in order to accomplish what you want to do, you have to do that. Unfortunately, that's part of the process.
Yeah.
And sometimes I wish it wasn't so difficult, but I understand why they do it.
Yeah.
Because then you got some people that will just take complete advantage of the system and just do whatever they want, and then it's all ruined for everybody else. And so I get it.
No, we understand that too. We know it's new. So, as far as the vineyard here, the vines that we have planted are thriving. Obviously, Grenache has become our staple grape for here. We make Grenache 3 different ways. And so we had the best crop we've had to date this year. And we're able to make both our 100% Grenache Rosé in more quantity than we've made before. And then our Youngblood Grenache and then our Estate Grenache Reserve all were probably the best harvest we've had.
Nice.
Albarino, unfortunately, on this property this year. Last year we lost the fruit altogether. This year, everything looked great. Me and Greg, my vineyard manager, like walking through the vineyard, like, this is the best Albarino crop we've ever had. We're harvesting this Saturday. Come back Saturday morning, and about 2/3 of our Albarino crop was gone, and it looked like raccoons were hanging out like Greek gods for 3 days and ate 2/3 of our crop. So that's, it's hard to fight pests that have opposable thumbs. And so we'll work on that this year.
Our shotguns go a long ways.
Yeah, we've done a lot more shooting this year. We've had some pig invasion here, which is, so we've been doing some trapping and shooting and just trying to scare them off more than anything.
Right.
But then Tempranillo was an interesting thing that happened here in this North Texas area. I got a call from another vineyard that lost 2/3 of their crop.
Wow.
And we had a crazy windstorm come through this area in March, which is during the flowering time of Tempranillo. And unfortunately, I had the same issue. And then there was another vineyard that had the same issue. And so rather than, I usually sell little Tempranillo to that vineyard, they weren't going to be able to use their own. So I bought theirs, and then I bought this other vineyard. So we actually, what the unique part about that is that because all 3 of us only had about 1/3 of our Tempranillo crop, the fruit that came in was so concentrated in color.
Nice.
Just beautiful, beautiful juice came from it. And so I have fermented all those separately. And then now we're looking at, well, we don't really have enough to make an estate wine. We don't really have enough to make some, this other Tempranillo from these. And I think we're going to consider blending all 3 together just to make this 1-year wine that I think is going to be incredible.
Well, you can call it North Texas Tempranillo.
I was thinking like 3 vineyards,
Oh, 3 Vs.
Yeah, there you go. Something, it'll be a one-off. It's one of those things Mother Nature gives you, and I don't think you'd ever be able to purposely repeat it.
Oh yeah.
But we want to take advantage of that fruit and not dilute it into other things.
That would actually be, it would be definitely interesting because you would get to taste the different terroirs of different areas of North Texas.
Right.
The soil is soil. You're going to have pretty well the same soil all over the place, but different parts of North Texas have different terroir. Let's just call it as it is, So it would definitely be an interesting taste. I would love to taste that when it's ready. So
we're excited about it.
Call it 3 Vs or something like that, and then just kind of all 3 y'all sell it.
I don't know what the legalities are on that, but we'll probably keep it under the edge of the lake brand.
So that is amazing that you're doing that. It's so awesome that y'all are thriving. I know that I've seen y'all more on TV lately. Y'all been doing a lot more TV interviews lately.
Yeah, we had a very good CBS News special this year that landed right about at the beginning of July. And they only gave me about a 24-hour notice before they released it. And next thing I know, the tasting room is overwhelmed and we're trying to catch our breath, but we made it through it. I still every week probably get at least one customer that is just now making it out here from seeing us on that Robbie Owens special. And
nice.
It's been really cool. That was actually filmed right before the tornado. And so they kind of held on to it to let the news cycle kind of change before they released it.
Right.
But yeah, it was a blessing to be able to be a part of that. It was a very cool story. She did a really good job. So
I think it came out here shortly after that was released, and y'all's tasting room was packed.
Yeah,
it was insane packed.
Yeah.
But I know that's what y'all needed. Because it starts with you, and then it starts with, the next one down, the next one down. The next thing you know, all the tasting rooms in this area is going to start getting full because people are going to notice that there are more wineries in the North Texas area.
Yeah. And we've done some things, with our little threesome of wineries here in Valley View. This month we've got a January wine challenge. January is always a tough month for the wine industry, and basically encouraging people to visit all 3 of our wineries here in Valley View, a couple times in the month, and they get put into a raffle for, a prize, and just, fun things to kind of thwart that. This Friday we have our first ever Edge of the Lake vertical tasting that's sold out in a week.
Oh, dang.
It will be offering 6 vintages of Estate Tempranillo on that tasting. First time we've gotten to do that because obviously we're a younger establishment, but we're super excited. So we're going to be doing that this Friday. My wife's putting together this insane murder mystery deal that's happening at the end of the month. And they're really getting into it. All the people are getting emailed their characters, and it's about 50 people playing in this murder mystery deal. And so that's really entertaining. And then we're staying involved with the kind of the reboot of the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. We're going to be there for several events, with our Best of Texoma Award. They'll be pouring, our Texas Hogwash Rosé at the Dickies Arena. Then we'll be at their Sip and Shop pouring Viognier and Barbera. And then we'll be at their Bubbles and Bites pouring Hogwash and Barbera as well. So that's stuff that we haven't done before. We're excited to just kind of get out there and be able to meet and greet and talk with people that may not know about us. So.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I really enjoy doing, being downtown in Grapevine, working at the winery I work at. People that come in and they're like, oh, we love Grapevine. We love Grapevine. There's a lot of good Texas wineries here. I was like, oh, you're just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just a micron of it's actually out there. And then they start talking about, oh, yeah, they love going out to Fredericksburg. I was like, well, let me ask you a question. Would you rather drive 4 hours, and I'm not taking away from the hill country. Let me make sure that know that. Tell people I know that, or they know that, is would you rather drive 4 hours and then drink a couple hours down there and then turn around and have to drive back?
Yeah.
Or drive an hour and a half and you can drink throughout the whole weekend and then be back in your house that afternoon.
Yeah.
And when I weighed it out for them like that, I said, the 4 hours you're driving, you can be maximizing your wine drinking experience up here. and when I showed them that, and actually pull out I'm going to drop a little spill here, the Texas Wine Lover app on them, and I show it to them, and they see all the wineries just in the North Texas area. They're like, I did not know there was that many wineries in North Texas.
Yeah. People are always surprised with that. Obviously, we share that information here in the winery. Not directly just because of my involvement with North Texas Wine Country and the association itself, but because since we've been open, we've tried to maximize that. We know that all of us rise together, and getting people to come visit the region is our goal. Obviously, there's a little bit more of a challenge than going down the 290 trail because we're spaced out a little bit. But through North Texas Wine Association, we try to group those into suggested day trips where they can visit 3 wineries at, 4 at most. I always say 4 is too many, but it's not.
No such thing as too many. It's just the hours of the operations. Well, that actually leads into a really good promotion that's going on right now with the North Texas Wine Country. Yeah. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah. So we do, with North Texas Wine Country, we do 3 wine trails a year. Coming up here in February, and we actually extended this. We started this program last year. We're extending it one more weekend to get people actually 5 full weekends visiting. So it'll go through until that very first weekend in March. But you can visit. We have over 44 wineries that are members, anywhere from this region here through Grapevine up into St. Joe, and then to McKinney, and just all the, and even out to Greenville. We have a couple wineries out there that are a part of it. New wineries opening up this year that we're really excited to be a part of it as well. So, but you can do all that for one low price, and you can have 5 weekends to go venture through and explore the North Texas Wine Country. And that is our Valentine's Wine Trail. So, always excited about that event. It's a great way to share some experiences with your partner and take them out. I'm not just one night at a forced fancy dinner that you had to dress up for, but spend the weekend casually for several weekends in a row, going out and visiting and tasting all of what North Texas has to offer.
I mean, what's more romantic than sitting with the person you love, drinking red wine and overlooking a lake or overlooking a vineyard?
Yeah. I mean, the views from the, not just here. I mean, you go up to 4R and that beautiful view of the valley there. the way Blue Ostrich and their view of their vineyard from their pavilion, as they call it. You know, even to some of our urban settings, like the new Landon here in Gainesville is gorgeous. There's ample seating space for everybody. It's huge. Yeah. To, you know, Lone Star Wine Cellars and McKinney and the things that they do and they curate all the way down to Ovilla, Texas, where Cruzaro's at. And it's just everything's so unique. Nothing's done here to mirror the other place or outshine them. We just all kind of have our own little vibe and feel. And I think that's what makes North Texas unique. And,
you know, that's the one thing I tell everybody about Texas wineries is they're not cookie cutter, you know. Yeah. You're not going, unless it's the same winery. And even then, like Bob Landon, if you go to each one of his locations, each one's gonna be different.
Yeah, they all have a little different feel.
A little bit of different feel. Yeah. But I mean, if you go even Lone Star, you know, they got not Lone Star, 4R. Yeah. Got that location in downtown McKinney, and then they got the one out here. You know, totally
two different places.
Yeah. And so you don't know you're really going into it, because I know people come into Landon, they're like, is this the same Landon that's over in McKinney or Wiley? And I'm like, yeah, it's the same one. They're like, oh, it just looks different. Yeah. So that's a good thing, because if it's not cookie cutter, you know, it gets boring.
Yeah, we're not corporate. You know, we're hardworking winemakers and vineyard owners and things like that, and trying to, and you know, to kind of further into that discussion. I mean, North Texas Wine Association and North Texas Wine Country are obviously our sole purpose is to market and promote our membership wineries, not just the Texoma AVA, but everything outside of that. The Texoma AVA is getting some spotlights and highlights. We just had a recent article written in Wine Enthusiast that, you know, they came out, actually flew down and interviewed us in person and talked with us, and it was a big deal. And so Texoma's is not a huge secret anymore, but it's still, a lot of people haven't heard. I mean, they don't know, you know, that there's all this in their backyard. As far as North Texas, to continue on that topic, we also worked very diligently over these past couple of years, kind of curating a partnership with the city of Gainesville. We had our first, you were there, we had our first Gainesville Wine and Country Festival. Went off well, blessed with great weather, obviously always helped, but it was a great day. And Gainesville's super excited about that project. Gainesville's also our sponsor for the wine trails. So they've really are trying to set themselves as to be the center point and for this North Texas Wine Country region to be kind of the starting point where people can branch out from there. And we support that partnership as well. Chris Hornbaker, who I know you spoke with recently, I don't know if he mentioned it. He worked working on the new D&T Festival, Drink North Texas, which will be held at the Frontier Flight Museum here in May.
I'm excited about that one.
It's going to be cool. Yeah. I mean, what a cool venue. Not only is it, there's no weather restrictions because it's indoor, but you can bring the family, enjoy some wine, enjoy some bites, visit some vendors, and look at, you know, cool planes, helicopters, you know, pods from spacecraft and suits and all sorts of crazy stuff. And it's just awesome. It's a cool venue. We're excited about that move. And that puts us right in the heart of Dallas, where there's even more people that don't even know that we exist. And so I'm really excited about that project with Chris.
Oh, yeah. So, well, you know what? I'm sitting here looking at this and I totally spaced out, even though I'm looking right at it. You know, so we should have done this at the very beginning, because, you know, we're supposed to toast this every time. Oh, yeah, you know, can't curse the show, you know? No, yeah. So real quick, tell our listeners what you have poured for us and what do you actually have listed or shown on the table. Sorry. Okay.
I had to bring out a wine because when I was your first one, we were like, do we drink wine? Do we not? We don't know what to do. And then I always felt left out because after every podcast after that, y'all were drinking wine and I felt like I left you short.
You know, you should max Roxanne's level because she brought out 6 bottles.
Well, was it 10:30 in the morning when you started there?
No, actually. Okay. All
right. So what I brought out is our 22 vintage of Edge Blend. Edge Blend's always our kind of fun blend label. It's never the same year to year. It's where things go. And we kind of, that don't fit in other tanks to start. And then we start, you know, adjusting it from there. But this vintage is the first year that the lead is Barbera. So this is a blend of Barbera, Malbec, Tempranillo, Petit Verdot, and then just a little bitty smidge of 1% Cab. Just released this in December to our wine club members. We we entered it in contest last year. It was several gold medals and best in category at the Lone Star International as well.
Nice.
And it's just one of those wines that's going to get better. So cheers to another year of We Know Texas Vino, and let us know what you think.
You know, I'm just going to say this. Actually, I'm kind of speechless. It's every time I drink one of your wines. You know, I've in fact, actually, let's stop for just a second.
Okay.
So, do you remember how I found y'all?
Yeah, you came out with the
Wine Trail.
Yeah,
and that's how I found y'all, and really enjoyed everything out here. And yeah, actually, y'all was my first wine club membership I signed up for too.
Yeah,
and I think y'all weren't open very long when I signed up for that.
Not too long. Yeah, maybe a year.
Yeah, that's why I'm having a hard time emotional with our relationship. But I mean, I fell in love with y'all's wines.
Yeah, I think Albarino was your jam then, probably. So
it was actually it was your Albarino and your Freedom White.
Oh yeah,
because the Freedom White throw some ginger beer into it. I mean, I've still got bottles of that vintage in my refrigerator.
Do you really?
Yes.
Oh wow.
And I mean, I bought a bunch of those. You realize how much I bought it that year. Man, I'm telling you what, I'll get in the mood for one of those and I'll crack a bottle of that up, and next thing you know, it's gone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, crap, one less.
Yeah. Hey, it's wine. You can't if you wait for a special occasion to drink that special bottle of wine, you'll probably never find it. This is something I've learned.
Yes.
I have so many bottles. There's a rule at my house. If I have 2 of them, you can open them. Otherwise, you better have a conversation with me about it. And I still have bottles that we've never found the occasion for. Or I always joke, it's like, I don't know if I like anybody enough to share this bottle of wine, and my wife takes offense to that, obviously. So,
well, you know, it's funny you say that. Yeah. There was one time my mom and my stepdad came over, and we sat on the back porch, and it was a nice little evening. You know, it wasn't cold, it wasn't hot. It was just that perfect evening, you know, just enough to a lot of that fire pit just because, you know, for that ambiance. And so I had one bottle of Malbec from Elisa Christopher down in Fredericksburg. And it was such a good bottle, and it reminded me of smoking cigars with my stepdad. So we opened that bottle up, and we smoked a cigar and drank it.
Yeah.
I got one glass out of it. And I reached over and grabbed another glass out of it, and it was empty. And I looked at him and I said, "What happened to this bottle?" And he goes, "Oh, there's a hole in it."
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, I didn't get no more. You poured it all in your glass." And then he started going to the refrigerator and pulling more wine out. And he pulled another single bottle I had out. And it was a Tempranillo rye whiskey one.
Yeah.
And that was the only bottle I had of that one too. And we drank 2 last bottles that night.
Must have been a good cigar then, right?
It was a really good cigar. I mean, I'm not going to drop any names. Magic Toast, Alec Bradley's, but but you know, when you find that good wine, and you have it with somebody that's special, or just a special occasion, as you said, you know, sometimes you kind of regret it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're happy that you shared it.
Yeah, for sure.
Actually, I had a bottle like that, honestly, a really, truly special bottle. I was working in Landon at Denison, and I had a guy come in and bring me a 12-year-old bottle of Texan of Bob Landon's. And I was kind of excited about it, but nervous at the same time, because it fell in that place where Texas wines just quite wasn't aging properly, you know? And this is from everything I read. I may be incorrect, but from everything I read. And so on our successful second year of doing this podcast, I opened it all up and I shared it with 6 of my friends, including my mom, my stepdad, and Michael. And I took the first sip of it, and I'm like, "Oh man, yeah, you're going to pour this back in the bottle. It's terrible. You're not going to like it." And they're like, "Is it that bad?" I was like, "Yeah, it's pretty bad." And then I continued drinking it. But they found out actually it was probably one of the best bottles of that old that I've ever drank. It was just absolutely really gorgeous. So I give Bob a hard time and randomly send him pictures of that bottle.
Yeah. And
tell him how good it was. And sorry I didn't share it with him. So I love this Edge blend. Amazing bottle. You've done such a good job. And I thought you brought it out because it was 2022 and podcast, you know. No,
it's one word because I did to share. I mean, I didn't make that connection for you there too. So, no, it's just a really good bottle. It's been super well received. The color's gorgeous. The finish is gorgeous. and just one we wanted to highlight that it's available in the tasting room now. So, and online as well. Not to drop a line, but
no, that's hey, you know what? Here, I'll put back on the thing again. Let me put a couple dollar signs on the end of it, like I did for Chris. Actually, it's too late. I already did it for you. I love having errors with technology. You know.
Oh yeah.
So, sound like you're doing really good. Sound like the future is even brighter for y'all. I'm really proud of what y'all have done, and watching y'all grow that you have over the 2 years that I've known you. Yeah. Amazing job you're doing out here. Also, great mentor. Thanks for being one of my mentors. Also, you know, I know sometimes you get tired of seeing my text messages.
No, I don't think there's a winemaker in the state that isn't willing to answer questions for somebody. No, it happens in the I've got some home winemakers that are club members or customers alike here, and they ask me things, and I'm more than happy to tell them what I know. But I always, like I told you, I always encourage you not to ask just one person, because you'll get different answers on how to treat or take care of things. So, yeah. Well,
you know, one of my favorite things is I like to talk to Grayson.
Yeah.
But Grayson, for me, he talks so much into the chemical levels and stuff like that it takes a couple of days for that to click into my head.
Yeah.
I love Grayson. Grayson's a great mentor also.
Grayson's answered many questions for me coming over these years too. So,
Well, so Edge of the Lake is doing amazing. So how did Texas fare this year or this last year for grape growing?
You know, there were, and everybody probably had a different experience. I can only speak for mine. There's been a lot of discussion about how to let wineries and winemakers alike know about grapes available. And I know we've made some steps with both Twigga and some other different avenues to get that information out there. This year this past harvest, I had more phone calls from vineyard owners or people that had fruit that it was normally contracted in full, where people had dropped the contract because of the bumper crop that we had in 23. Our problem was there were some of those fruit, some of that stuff. I was like, man, I want it. We don't have the capacity to take on more fruit than what we contract. And, there was some I guess the educated guess of how much crop load you're actually going to have if you're a vineyard selling fruit commercially. And so at the end of the season, I was left short on some things where I had, through the whole harvest, I could have picked up those fruit, but I was staying to my contract. And I don't know what the solution is to that. You know what I mean? I mean, heck, we're no better at estimating crop load than a lot of places here. I mean, we're always surprised either one direction or the other every year a little bit. And, but I think people are holding on that they've got more juice. I keep up with people's bottlings through our bottling guy, Mike. Shout out to Mike. We love Mike. Mike's a great guy.
What's that company called?
I knew you were going to ask me that.
Well, if it comes to you as we're talking, you just squirrel it to the side, God,
I can't. If you had to ask me, I would know it.
Is it the same guy who did for Blue Ostrich also?
Oh yeah. Mike Goddard. Yeah. And he does a lot of the wine places, Hill Country, does some distilleries and stuff too. He's just a hardworking, great guy. But I asked him as we started scheduling for this year, I was like, what are you seeing? Are you seeing people trying to bottle a lot because they have so much or people not bottling as much because of their sales are down statewide? He says it's really both. I don't know how we correct that. There's some people that are angry about different things. I'm not angry about anything, and we're 100% Texas here, Right. We're not just from all vineyard, but we buy from growers in the high plains as well. I don't know how you fix that. Right. It's not a one size fits all. Yeah. There's different size vineyards. One guy that reached out to me this year, he has 7 acres out in the high plains. It's all hand harvested. Wow. Beautiful fruit. His contract was usually carried by one place. It has been for years, and they dropped the whole thing this year. And he's got all this beautiful hand cared for fruit. No machine work. Everything's done by hand. Oh man. It's like mirroring what we do here, but in a small place out in the hill, up in the high plains. And so it was heartbreaking because I even reached out to other vineyards, and none of us could take it because we were all so overloaded. Right. And really tried to help them out. And I don't know what the solution is to it. I know there's people bigger than me working on it. Our solution for us is obviously we're trying to build that bigger production facility so that we have room because there's opportunities there when there's crops that can't be taken, not just in price. I think there's some people taking advantage of that situation and lowballing on people, and I get it. It's all business and stuff. Right. But I think the opportunity to bring in additional fruit that maybe you weren't planning on just because you have the space, we couldn't take advantage of that. Right. And now you're in fear. You're like, okay, I'm fully loaded here. What happens this year? Right. When I don't take in more fruit or I don't get the fruit. We have a year that's down in production, so we'll see.
So when you have fruit like that, and this is where I'm kind of curious about, can you not freeze it and have it ready? So when you do have the space ready for using it, you can just thaw it out or does that change the chemistry of that grape when you freeze it?
No, I talk to Dr. Bob Young and he'll tell you differently. No, I actually, there's a cold storage that was built here, not too far from here this past year, opened up. I actually went and visited with them for that very reason. It was like, getting our production facility so small, taking more than two different varietals on the same day is impossible. Right. Because we don't have a cold storage. Right. And so, people, you have to be able to get it cold fast. You have to, it has to be handled correctly. Using a cold storage facility might be a fix for that temporarily for us. Sending some of those reds directly to the cold storage, drop it down below freezing like that. Right. And then get it out when you've got time later on. And that's, the cryo method that Dr. Bob Young is using down at Bending Branch. But he's doing, purposefully to concentrate color and sugars and things like that. So it's kind of it's funny because we're bringing our vertical tasting coming up. We're bringing out our 2018 Estate Tempranillo. I only made 30 cases of it, but I have to tell the story because when I listened to Bob Young's presentation at Twiga one year about the cryo method and his other things that he does, I thought, hell, we were doing that years ago. We just didn't know what we were doing. When I first came up here to actually turn this into something, my dad had bought 7, I don't know how big, the biggest chest freezers you can buy. They were all over the house, in the garage and everywhere, full of Tempranillo grapes. Okay. They did that in a panic. They wanted to harvest. They didn't want to drop any more fruit on the ground. And so they bought all these chest freezers. So in 19, when we harvested Tempranillo again, I thawed them out partially and processed them to make that Estate Tempranillo. And so my whole thought was like, I'm like nudged my dad at Twiga. I was like, we already did that. You know what I mean? I was like, so, but that wasn't the purposeful intent. It was just to save the fruit. But it did make we can't repeat that wine, you know? And so, I think using some of those cold storage facilities, I know that some other wineries have reached out to me with interest in that. And so we're looking into that for this next year, maybe.
Interesting. Yeah. So here's just a thought. A lot of the wineries over in California, what they'll do is they'll take up, 5-gallon bucket and they'll flash freeze all those and then turn around and sell that online. Yeah. Have Texas thought about doing that?
I'm sure somebody has. I mean, I see those where you can actually buy the fruit frozen and everything. Get it sent to you. I'm trying to think of the vineyard that's doing that. Then they sell you the whole kit. Yeah. You get the wine, the yeast, the thing, all the stuff. It's pretty interesting way. I mean, California has a different situation where they're pulling up vines because they have more fruit than
saturated.
Yeah, they're saturated now. Texas, from what I understand, everybody was down this past year as an average, obviously. And yet we still complain about not having enough fruit. But when there was too much fruit, there was only a few people in the state that were big enough to take that excess fruit. And were they willing to take it? I don't know if they all did or not. So I think there's some interesting things that, but we have the space. Right. But what comes along with that space is how far we're spaced out from each other. Correct. North Texas doesn't have like a wine hub for distributing bottled wine either. Right. Things like that will come up in the future for us as we grow. I mean, it's all logistics, you know, so.
And that's always interesting too. You sit down and talk about, when we have an excess of grapes, what was it last year? We had an excess of grapes.
Yeah.
In fact, actually, I think the last 2 years there was an excess of grapes.
I mean, there was hundreds of tons dropped on the ground because.
And it's sad.
Yeah.
But if the wine sales are not up, then people can't buy those grapes.
Right.
And I get it. And I also understand that affects the grape grower because, they're expecting those grapes to be picked up.
Yeah.
And then it's just a vicious cycle. Hopefully, pretty soon that people will start finding more Texas wines, and the need to purchase more Texas wines will go up, and we'll start getting distributed out more into the United States. And people don't want to have California wine. They want to have Texas also on their table.
Yeah.
And that, I know, is for Texas is a big thing. That's what we're trying to do. That's our ultimate goal. Because, Texas, we do everything bigger and better than every other state.
Right. Of course.
So I know last year we did not have that late freeze. So that helped a lot. We had a lot of rain in the spring, like all the way from May to like June, or late April to June, we had all that rain, and then it just kind of heated out. And I know some of the clusters I harvest out at RK and then also out at Ready.
Yeah.
They were big, fat clusters. These, I harvested with you the year before, and they just, no offense, they just weren't as big and fat. I mean, they were still there, but they just weren't as big and fat. So how does all that rain, and then all of a sudden it just dries out, how does that affect those grapes for our listeners?
Well, I can only speak for us here. I mean, this first year that we didn't put a drop of water in the ground until about the second week of August.
Wow.
So, we have sandy loam clay. There's some sandy barge patches that go through different parts of the vineyard, but we didn't have to water till then. And we weren't, because of that, the fruit was healthy.
Yeah.
We weren't fighting some of the other things. There's always salt and different things going on with the water. We were using all rainwater that was just being saturated into the ground.
Right.
Like I said, we had one of our biggest harvests, especially Grenache was our largest harvest to date. And that was with no water by the time.
Wow.
I mean, by the time we were harvesting the first section of Grenache, we hadn't watered at all. So that was unique for this year. I don't think that's ever happened, at least in the years we've been actually harvesting for production. And you kind of saw that similar throughout North Texas, and I think also in the hill country and up in the high plains. The thing that was really off this year was, and it from what I could tell, it was everywhere else. We were still pretty much, this gets harvested, the only thing that moved was Tempranillo moved ahead of one of the Grenache harvests this year.
Really?
And I think that was more because it only had a third of the crop.
Oh, okay.
So I think if it had a full crop load, it would have been the same as it is. This one first, this one second, this one. We do 4 or 5 harvests every year out of 3 varietals, depending on what wine it's for. But then the high plains, I mean, they were pulling off some reds before whites were done. And things were stacked on top of each other. Poor Anthony out there at Ready Vineyards. I would talk to him. He's like, I'm sorry, I haven't slept in 48 hours. And he's like, they're all coming in at the same time. And I'm like, man, I know, but what about mine? No, I'm just kidding. Anthony knows those conversations.
Anthony's a great guy.
I love Anthony to death. So they had fruit on top of fruit. Things were going on. They were running out of space. We had some spatial issues where I reached out to Anthony to take wine and press it down first because we didn't have any space. And he's like, we don't have any space left.
Yeah.
We're done. And I'm like, okay. So we took it and we went on about our business, but, it was not like any other year, Right. I mean, but since I've been doing this, which is a very short time compared to a lot of people, this is my 6th vintage of harvest, nothing has ever been the same twice. Wow. That's Texas, I think, to a T. Nothing's ever the same twice. I remember that very first year of the larger production. And then I was like, okay, I got it. Then that was 2020.
Right.
So I was making wine in COVID and it was easy. I couldn't go anywhere. There was nothing else to do. And then in 21, I made this, hugely detailed plan and charted everything out. And it didn't take long for me to tear that entire book up and just throw it away and go, yep, it's not going to be like last year, And so every year I'm very, very flexible in our decision making. we go in with a semi plan, and then we kind of mold ourselves around what Mother Nature and the grapes give us.
Nice.
So
yeah. So all right, let's look to the future, 2025. Okay. So right now we're looking outside. We just had our first snowstorm this year, and that's actually really early this year. I don't think I've lived in Texas all my life. I don't think I've ever seen snow in January. I mean, if it was very light dusting. I'm not saying accumulation. This is the first time I've ever seen accumulation of snow in January.
Yeah.
In a long time. Let me rephrase that. So how, with the snow that we just got now, how does that going to affect the vines now? And how will they affect them in the springtime when they come budding out? Because I know right now, and I know right now they're in hibernation mode, so they should be okay.
Yeah.
As long as the roots they don't freeze, we're okay.
Yeah.
But coming in the springtime, should they be a lot more, or they possibly be more fuller coming in the springtime, or are they still going to be what we like here? We normally see. What are you expecting? Because we had an early freeze this year.
It's always going back to never the same twice. It's always in theory, right?
Right.
The good news about the snow is that the days leading up to it, we had a pretty hard freeze up here that really ensured that the vines were dormant. Mm-hmm. We were just starting rough prune at the beginning of the week because we got those cold temperatures. Then we got 7 up to 9 inches of snow on this property, depending on where on the property it was. The good thing about that is since we had that cold snap before the snow came and not after, it helps shut down the vines fully. And then we get that blanket of snow that acts as an incubator to the root system. While the snow melts, and it melts slower because we'll still have snow after today, and it's supposed to get up to 47.
Right.
There was so much snow. And that snow melts slowly and seeps its way into the ground at a slower pace than rain does. Mm-hmm. So we'll have some good water capture into the ground. That will add to whatever spring rain we get. Hope we have another cold snap coming next week, like where the highs are 25.
I saw that.
And I was just blessed to get out without one broken pipe this time on all the buildings on this property. But fingers crossed, right?
Right.
So I think the combination of those things, I think we'll hopefully get a little bit later bud break, which will lead to later flowering, which will lead to later fruit set, which will lead to later hang time.
Right.
Now, all those things could change based on what happens between now and then. Right. But if things kind of go as they normally do from here on out, because we'll have another cold snap in February too, it should help keep the vines shut down a little longer with ample amount of water to let them come back to life. And pretty excited about this year, I think. So
it looks to be a very promising year, in my opinion, from looking at what I've done in the vineyard so far and what I've listened to, you and everybody else across the state, with getting the snow early, there's a good chance that we may not have a late freeze possibly.
Yeah.
And
it's possible.
And it's very possible because we didn't have one last year.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, we should have another great harvest this year.
Yeah.
Now, I'll tell you one of the things that fascinates me about protecting your grapevines during the winter months. And I know this is more like around California when they do this over here, but one of the ways they protect their vines is water their vines when it's going to be a freeze. Mm-hmm. And when I was going to school for that over here at Grayson, and they said that, and I'm like, well, that's kind of stupid. You put ice on it, it actually will kill them faster. Well, I did not know that. It actually makes it as a blanket for them.
Yeah, I can't get past that low temp.
Yeah. When I read that and was told that, I was like, that's an interesting fact. I would have never thought about, on purposely putting ice on my vines to protect them. Yeah. And that's pretty interesting. And so when you said the comment about having the snow on the ground and making a blanket out of it, that's, kind of, put one to one together.
It does. I mean, it was what saved us here in 2020 in Snowmageddon is, although we had that hard freeze, we got a big blanket of snow. There was about 4 inches of snow throughout the vineyard. And it kept, even though we were in way sub-zero, I think it was like -10 here at one point, but the ground really never got colder than, that right at freezing temp. So it wasn't a hard freeze to the root system, which could have caused, catastrophic damage.
Right.
All that being said, hail was still going to be our biggest enemy here. Just like every vineyard in the state of Texas for the most part. The unique part about this property is obviously the lakefront, being no matter which way the wind's blowing, we have lake effect wind, which usually helps carry frost out of the vineyard. Right. So fingers crossed that's a continuous process as it has been in the past. Yeah.
Well, we can go out here if you want and trim off some of these trees right here to give more lakefront wind blowing,
Oh yeah.
I can get a chainsaw with electric cord. I can stand in the water for you too doing that.
As long as you enter from the lake side, then you're not any mention of my name, then that's your deal with the Corps of Engineers, not mine.
Oh man. Well, it sounds like Texas is actually on its right path. I'm not going to say finally because, if you say finally, that's like an end, but Texas is on a path to being a great state for growing wine or grapes.
Yeah.
And then making some great wines out there. I mean, we've got some great wineries out there just up here in the North Texas. And I'm only going to focus on this segment here on North Texas. I mean, you're one of the big ones here, because you can't say, Bob Landon without following, Bob Landon's a big one around here, so you can't follow Bob Landon and not say Chris McIntosh at Edge of the Lake. You just, it's impossible to say that because I know it is for me. Yeah. Because you are a big influence in this winery region up here. I remember when we're coming up here that first time and tasting your wines, and I'm like, holy crap, I'm blown away by what you've got here. And it's like you kind of with gangbusters kicked in the door and said, I'm here. And you brought big cases of wine, but I mean, you've got the big hitters up here. You've got 4R, you got Blue Ostrich, you got RK. You know what? Let's talk about KK for a second.
Yeah. Static about her.
I remember when she opened up, I went out and did a tasting with her. And she's also another one of my mentors. You got your mentors in different stages. You've got your seasoned mentor, and then you've got the, I know what I'm doing, finally mentor, and then I'm still kind of trying to figure out what I'm trying to do, but I understand what I'm doing, mentor. And then you got the people that are still wet behind the ear, mentor. And so all of y'all are some sort of mentors for me. And KK's always been one of my big mentors because she was still wet behind the ears when I started doing this. And so I would ask her a question, and she goes, "Well, this is what I would do, but you know what? You should go talk to Chris, or you should go talk to Grayson. Go talk to them and get their opinion also.
Yeah.
But KK, what she's got going on out there is amazing.
Yeah,
and I love it.
Yeah, my family, we posted about some of her wine over the snow days. We drank a bottle of her wine, and I've tried to push her to alter her pricing because I think she's underselling herself. Her estate Tempranillo is amazing.
Yep.
I would encourage every listener on here to go to her website and buy it out to make me right. So KK will change her pricing on the next one. No, we're super excited to have them in 555 as our neighbors around the corner is added to this area. We've got Rancho Serrano opening up soon. We're really excited for the Mayberries there. All the way out to Live Happy Lane in Greenville, which is also a member of our association now. And they have a lot of energy, I can tell, because they've got projects going on everywhere, and it's a beautiful place. And
have you been out there yet?
I haven't made it out there yet. I've just seen some of the videos and things.
I'm gonna come and get you and send in the truck, and I'll drive so y'all can drink.
Okay. That is always the hazard of it, right? But yeah, just across the North Texas area, it's just, Bob opening up the location in Gainesville, I think I've already said. I know I'm leaving out somebody that I do not want to miss in this. So if I did, I've apologized. But visiting a place like, KK's experience, I can compare it to like Calais down there in Fredericksburg. It's very private, unique. The difference is you do get to sit down at KK's. But it's the same type of experience. It's just you and the person presenting the wines across the table. And it's, she's reservation only at this point. And it's a unique experience that nobody else is offering in North Texas right now.
Right.
We do similar things, but they're spotty, they're special deals. And that is her experience right now. And it's so valuable, so cool.
Yeah.
And the wines match the vibe, and it's very cool, And I know Rancho Serrano's worked closely with Hilmy and both KK and Rusty at Breaking Bud and all that whole new group out there. It's another unique thing that's happening in North Texas, and it's just miles up the road, and it's just so different. Yep. I can't be more excited for them.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And I will say, KK, your Tempetite is freaking amazing.
I have Tempetite. She has
Oh,
she has her estate Tempranillo and her Vento Tinto. Vento
Tinto.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of. Sorry.
Yeah.
Vento Tinto is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
That's all right.
I knew what I was talking
Wait a
about.
second. I made up that word. She can't take that word. No.
I mean, but everything she's got out there. I took my mom and my stepdad out there, and they were like really impressed with it. You know, and kind of showed them because they're. I took my mom and my stepdad out there. I'm getting my hands out of the camera here. I took them out there because I wanted to show them how her vineyard is set up because they're wanting to do their own vineyard also out in East Texas. And I wanted to show them how she has her irrigation system set up out there because I want them to have a nice setup when we get our vineyard going out there. So that way they can spend more time pruning and checking and watching the vineyard and make sure all the watering system is set up where it's on a timer. Yeah. And I like how she has it. In fact, she's actually the only, quite honest, is the only vineyard I saw that I got to see the watering system. So the irrigation system. So that's why I'm only.
Well, I didn't know you were interested in watering systems. Will, I would have showed. No, I'm just kidding. You're fine.
Yeah, you want to show me your water hose? Goes here. This is how I water my vineyard.
That is not how we water our vineyard. Not anymore.
Oh man,
no.
But I mean, KK has really helped, keep me in track when I got frustrated. Mm-hmm. And she's like, don't get frustrated. Just calm down.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be all right.
Wine will teach you patience you never knew you had. That's what I always say.
Honestly, being an ADD person, wine is the worst thing in the world.
You?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Look, there's a squirrel right over there. But, it definitely has helped my ADD a little bit. Mm-hmm. Because I'm ready to drink this. I'm ready to drink this. Well, you got to slow down and be patient, grasshopper. You got to let the wine do its own thing. Yeah. Which as of recently, I just bottled my first wine.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm excited about it. Hopefully in March, which is Twigga. Yeah. I'm going to try to introduce it then at that time. We'll see what it goes. Okay. I hope you're going to be there.
It's up in the air right now. I got a lot of stuff on my schedule. Whether I'll make it down to this one,
we'll talk afterwards.
Okay. All right.
But with all that being said, so 2025, we're hoping it looks just as good, if not better than 2024. Hopefully, with the growth of the vineyards, which actually I just found out the other day that we have like 10,000 acres under vine in Texas right now.
Yeah, that sounded probably right.
That's insane.
And then what Paul Bonarego posted, I guess last week, that there's now 1,174 permits in the state of Texas.
Wow.
It moved us up a state in the most permitted wineries. I know some of those are repeats of satellite locations, but it's still going up. Yeah. So it's amazing.
Well, I would like to know of those that have their G permits who are actually opened. Because I know there's some people that got G permits and they're not selling actual wine in a tasting room. They're actually just selling it online. Yeah. Which, it's okay. But open a tasting room. Let people taste your wines there and see the look on their face when they drink your wine. Yeah. I like that. I like seeing the look on your face. And when I try something, you're like, what do you think? And I'm like, this is amazing. Yeah. And you're like, I know it is.
Yeah. That's half the joy of it, right?
So, Chris, is there anything else you want to talk about? Actually, you know what? Let's talk about one funny thing. Okay. Let's change topics here.
All right.
Let's talk about this first time we did this podcast together.
Oh, you want to save that to the end, huh?
Yeah, let's talk about that. I meant to talk about it at the very beginning, but I'd rather focus on you at the first. Well, so let's go down memory lane a little bit. So I remember when I decided to do this podcast, and I told you I wanted you to be my first one, and you're like, okay, let's do it. We both had no clue what we were doing. No, absolutely no clue.
Never done a podcast at that point for anybody, and it was interesting experience. I was the whipping boy for your audio system at that point, we'll call it.
I will have to agree with that because we had that single microphone, and because I was trying to be minimum as possible.
Oh yeah.
And I realized really quickly that that's not the best thing to do. Yeah. It was a very bad idea. Yeah. We may have to actually sit down and actually do a full new episode just to replace that one.
Okay. All right.
But it was definitely an interesting. Because I remember asking you, what's the difference between table grapes and wine grapes, and that look on your face, like, really? Yeah, I
was like, really? This is the question you give me for the technical aspect?
Well, do you want to readdress that then?
It's funny. People ask me about that all the time. They're like, well, what's the difference? I'm like, little bit other than being genetically modified, not to have seeds and all these different things. And they come out with ones that taste like bubble gum and stuff that all of that should question you, their origins. You know what I mean? But I do not, for the record, for everybody out there, I do not waste space in my brain to know what the differences specifically are between table grapes and wine grapes.
Come on.
I assure you, there's plenty of guys out here in this industry that you could ask that question and they could break it down. I do not have the capacity at this point to store that knowledge. Okay. I do not.
Your storage facility is full too, huh?
Yes. I remember your name and you should be thankful. So, all right. No.
Well, I do remember coming out here and we're sitting downstairs by the fireplace.
Yeah.
Had the single microphone set up and just having a conversation. And I'm sitting there trying to adjust everything to have a good sound.
Yeah.
And thinking it was a great sound. And then I sit down and I start listening to this. I'm like, oh man, there's an echo in here.
Yeah.
And at that time I was doing a very cheap soundboard. Mm-hmm. And now if you look at it, I've spent a nice chunk of change on a good soundboard and audio is actually not too bad now.
Yeah.
I'm kind of proud of myself.
And then I think I've been on 3 episodes with you. I'm trying to, I know the one at P Off.
Yeah, the one at P Off.
Which the audio was not good because there was so much background noise. So I got to be part of that one. And then what was the third one? There was another one.
We did one with Andy Gonzalez.
With Andy here. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and that was the best of the 3, I think, audio. So we've come a long way.
Yeah, we've come a long way.
First, I haven't seen this release yet, so we'll see.
Well, I promise you the audio on this is really good.
Yeah, you'll probably cut this whole part right here.
Oh, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it. Yeah. Well, I do have to I'll give you another shout out for this because we were at Valley View Wine Walk and getting ready to set up the video and all of that. And my big 22-inch monitor fell and hit the ground and shattered.
Yeah.
And I had no monitor to set anything up and I was freaking out. And y'all said y'all had this 32-inch TV that y'all weren't even using. Yeah. That you said you'll give to me, and I offered money for it, and y'all told me no, and which is a really nice thing, and that's what I use now to do the video stuff.
Yeah, I see it there.
I mean, it's kind of overkill, but you know what? I get to see.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'd rather to see than not be able to see. You know?
Man, as those eyes start to go with age, man, you'll appreciate that size.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm getting younger. Oh man. Well, Chris, is there anything you want to talk about? I mean, this is open mic. I mean, this is your episode. There's anything you want to talk about? Anything that you want to give a shout out to? Just, you know what? Let's give thanks to your staff for putting up with you.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that's probably good. Thank you for that encouragement. For anybody that's ever been here or knows anything about us, we are family ran. It's myself, it's my dad, it's my wife, Cynthia, it's my daughter, Dagan, it's my sister-in-law, Felicia, it's my mother-in-law, Terry, and then we have Deborah, who came the first weekend we were open, who's my taste room manager. She wouldn't leave, so we gave her a job. And then we've got a young man that works for us named Austin. He works a couple of days a week. And we've got Melissa that works at big events, and even my other sister-in-law, Shelby, that comes and helps on the really big events. And it's obviously I couldn't do this on my own. Me and my dad tried that the first weekend. We got our permit. It was all done and we were ready to open, and that was a disaster. And, without all them, we wouldn't have grown to where we're at right now. And it's a kind of a scary moment, I guess, for the family here, because we know we're growing to a point where faster than my grandson will be able to be old enough to pour wine, things like that. So we are going to be looking to add on staff from outside of our family. And, we really want to hold that whole family feel that, this was a family home, and you can't get away from the fact that we're inviting you into our family home. Right. But as we grow, we know that staff has to grow as well. And so really looking for ways to keep that feel and still be able to grow with the business. So, but without the staff that I have now, we wouldn't be where we're at. So,
every time I've come in here, I always saw Felicia, always a smile. She always gave me a hard time.
Yeah.
But in fact, actually, I remember the first time I met Felicia, she had those Texas running shoes on, and I was like, I need a pair of those. And
you mean these?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of these days I'll grow up, I'll have a pair of shoes, you know, you know, actually only own one pair of shoes and they only for working out. That's it. I don't use shoes anywhere else.
Oh, boots only, huh?
Boots only.
Okay.
You know, you never know you have to do emergency work in a vineyard or something like that, you know, or kick some boxes around or something, you know, but I mean, I will have to say for myself, coming into your tasting room has always been an experience. Long before I started doing this podcast, I've always enjoyed coming in here, sitting down and drinking wine. And people, if you've not been out here and actually got to experience this, you need to come out here and experience this. This is not just, to me, it's not just a journey to come out here and sit down and drink wine. This is a full-on experience. I mean, come out here even during the summertime or the springtime, the summertime, and look at the lake and just smell the water from coming off the lake, or just look at during the springtime and in the summertime watching the vines grow, and even come out here and volunteer and help harvest. I mean, that is fun. Chris makes it an experience, except when you cut your finger and then he makes fun of you.
Well.
You know, but I mean, guys, you know, I can't say a lot about, there's so much to say about Chris, you know. Chris and I have known each other for quite some time now, and I consider him as one of my closest friends. I know he's giving me this look like, yeah, no, we're not friends. I love friends. I love giving Chris a hard time because he gives me a hard time in turn. So it's all good. But y'all need to come out here and try some of this wine they have. And if you're not a member, become a member. Yeah. It's worth it, especially come up here to this new area he's got opened up.
Yeah. This is a cool space. So, and now you mentioned that, let's go beyond just staff. It's our club members and our volunteers that come out, you know. All those harvests that take place over the summer, they all have at least 25 volunteers that come out and make that happen in a timely manner. It's so funny, when we first started out, we were, you know, before we were even open, we started having community people and volunteers get involved, help plant, help harvest the first year. And, we had to put that on Facebook. Since year one, I've not put a volunteer post on Facebook.
Really?
We have an ongoing list throughout the year.
Really?
So if you ever want to be a part of that either bottling or harvest or any of the things that go on out here that require some volunteers, you better come in the tasting room and talk to Deborah and have her put you on the list, because we go straight to that list throughout the year. We make those calls and we start scheduling people off of it. And I think that's one of the most humbling things is I'm not very good at asking for help or, you know, getting people. And this has really created that in me to be more involved with our customers and our volunteers and our community alike. And it's humbling to see that how much interest people have. I've had people that help plant plants that have now helped harvest those plants more than once and help bottle that. They're like, when are we bottling that wine, those grapes that we picked, you know? And it's a cool feeling, you know, and obviously everything we do is a party. You know, if you're going to come out and harvest with us, we're going to drink a little wine afterwards, and we're going to have lunch. And same with bottling. It's a cool experience, and but we couldn't do it without all those people as well. Right. I mean, so
you know, and that's one of the things that I do love about not just your winery and vineyard, but all the North Texas wineries and vineyards. Yeah, they do something like that. You know, come out and volunteer. I mean, it may not be your thing, but come out and do it at least once, just to say you did it. Because guess what? Now when that grape gets turned into wine and gets bottled and stuff, and then you buy that bottle, you're like, you know what? I had a hand in this. Yeah. And even if you don't ever do it again, just do it once. It's fun. It's a blast.
It's cool.
Just don't cut your finger off.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't be Don't be a will. Don't be a will.
But, you know, I will have to say that was my first time harvesting that year. And that was definitely an experience. In fact, actually, I harvested with y'all, and I went over to Rancho Serrano and actually harvested there as well. Which they gave me safety cutters there. Oh.
Well, I might have called them ahead of time.
Oh, okay. Are you serious? But I mean, harvesting, because you get to talk to different people that like wine, and you get to know people. And that's what I really try to push a lot on this is go to a tasting room, sit down and just randomly talk to people. Yeah. And that's probably one of the things I love about wine. And people ask me, why do you like wine? Do you like the way it tastes? Do you like, you know, X, Y, Z? I was like, no, actually I like the people. Because, you know, if you go to a bar and you're having some sort of spirits or beer, there's a less likely you're going to talk to the person next to you. Yeah. But with wine, because you're sitting around a whole bunch of people having the same commonality, probably drinking the same wine, and they have a conversation about something, and all of a sudden you hear that and you say, oh, you know, I did that same thing, or I had something similar experience. Next thing you know, you start talking to them, and now you have a new friend.
Yeah.
I mean, you may never call each other again, but you had a good conversation with somebody, you know, and then you get to share something common with each other. And the next thing you know, you're sharing a bottle of wine with each other. And it's only wine that does that. It's no other alcoholic drink out there. So that's one of the reasons why I love wine a lot, and why I love coming out here, because you and I've opened a lot of bottles. I'll say not break, but open a lot of bottles.
There you go.
And we've shared quite a few bottles. And we've told stories.
Yeah.
And it's been fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good time.
Yeah. Good times.
Yeah.
So, well, you know, we're coming to the end of the show.
Okay.
And so I want to give a couple quick shout outs to our sponsors right quick. So first, we actually talked about them already. So Texas Wine Lover.
Right.
Great little app. You know, again, I tell everybody, use the app, find a Texas winery, and support Texas wines.
Yeah. And if you're a winery, go on there and claim your location, and allow them to do some of the legwork for you by doing a paid subscription to it as well. We do it that way, and the association does it that way. So definitely good for Texas Wine Lover.
It's definitely worth every bit of the free download that you get. And actually what I love to tell people is go onto the desktop version of it and plan your trip out and maximize your wine drinking experience. Yeah. And then push it to your phone, and then it will give you directions to that winery. Yeah. And it's a great little app. Yeah. Great little app. Now, I don't know if you've heard of this one, but Old Vine, Texas, down in Mansfield. Have you heard of them? Mm-mm. So they are a Texas wine bar. Oh. Right now they focus only on the hill country stuff. They only have enough room so they can do 13 different wineries, but they're looking for a bigger spot so they can put more Texas wines in there. Oh, good. They focus 100% on Texas wines, and they want to make sure they push for the Texas wines and Texas agriculture, and then they want to push you into their tasting room as well. And they've got some really good wines in there. In fact, actually, one of my favorite ones they had, they actually got it on tap from West Cave. West Cave? Yeah. West Cave Cellars. But it's a Rosé Cab Franc. Okay. I've never thought about doing a Cab Franc as a Rosé. And man, I'm just going to say that was a new wine that I've never tried before, and it was amazing. Good. So good. Go check them out. Well, I will. I'll go check them out and let them know when they're ready to do some North Texas wines. We have a lot of customers and friends and family in that area down there too. So. Well, and being in Mansfield, there's no wineries down in Mansfield. If you need a winery, you have to go to Burleson. Yeah. Which is still a 45-minute drive. Or to a villa. Yeah. So you're still looking at a good 45-minute drive wherever you're going. Yeah. So great little place to go to actually taste some of the wines, and like, oh, I really like this. Let's go to the tasting room. Yeah, cool. Great entry place. So, well, you know, when we get to the end of all of our shows, we have to do wine quotes. Okay. And, you know, we've been doing wine quotes now for 86 episodes now, and it's starting to get harder to find good non-repetitive wine quotes. so I'm trying to figure out new ways to come up with wine quotes. So we got a couple of them here that I don't know if we've done them before or if they don't mean anything, but we'll see what happens. Okay. You know? Are you ready? Yeah. Am I doing thumbs up, thumbs down? What are we doing? You can. Let me get the camera turned on so you can do. Okay. Give a review. We'll start off with an up, assuming it's good, and then we'll just kind of meter it. I'll just leave the camera on you then. Okay. Here we go. All right. So the first one is, a bottle of wine begs to be shared. I've never met a miserable wine lover. I'm going to give it right there. Okay. All right. It's right there. All right. And then the second one, the last one is, life is all the stuff you have to do from coffee time to wine time. Okay, that is 100% true statement. For almost every one of us, that's a true statement, right? Yeah. Yeah. You start with a cup of coffee in the morning, and then you wonder when you can have that wine. Yeah. What is it? I have coffee for the things that I can change throughout the day, and I have wine at the end for the things that I couldn't. Exactly. Right? I like that. We just had a surprise. Yeah. So, well, Chris, I appreciate you coming on. This is episode 86. I can't believe we're 86 now. That's crazy. It's crazy. It just seems like yesterday, you know? Yeah. Like a newborn child, you know? So this is Will. And this is Chris. This is We Know Texas Vino. Cheers. All right. Thanks.